Team COAF Field Team. Today is Tuesday, May 26th, day after Memorial Day. And while we had a 3-day weekend, unfortunately there's a lot of rain, so some quick updates on this last few. Was able to get one round of fishing in, and then got sidetracked with some honeydews, doing a patio extension, and then rolling right into, well, had some issues with some internal things, be it the AC in the house. It's a little bit hot in here, but we'll get that fixed tomorrow. And a little bit car trouble. Unfortunately, it's not the little Toyota pickup that I drive. Anyhow, bottom line, some updates. Um, did get the iFishing Fishing News podcast out where we did some Q&A with one of our viewers. And that's been out there. Talked a little bit about some jug lining as well as kayak fishing, specifically some striper fishing up at Lake Texoma, as well as some input or some info over there at Denison Dam. Other things, what we plan on trying to do here in the next few is we've got a couple of suggestions as well as questions that came our way. One, a follow-on concerning, let's see, first started with a jug lining question, and then some questions concerning some electronics that we use. So a fish finder, depth finder. Actually, I've only really used two when we talked about kayak fishing. So over the course of the next few, hopefully we'll get a video out there to answer the mail. I think we've got some insight in how to set up or rig the fish finder that we use. Unfortunately, don't have the fancy schmancy live scope stuff that some of those folks are out there using because, well, it'd be tough to put on the little kayak that we use, especially would be like 10 times the price of what we paid for the kayak, as well as I think it's double the value of the little Toyota pickup that I drive. I think it's like $3,000 for those live scope cameras, so bummer. With that said, I do have some input on how we do use the fish finder that we have. We've made it to where it's in a dry box. We've got a battery in there, and we can move it from a kayak to another kayak to a john boat. So we'll get the mail answered here in the next few, and maybe go into some more detail as to how we set that up. Additionally, some of the other things that we had posted concerning some of the local fishing that we've been doing. I've been doing a lot of the commute fishing on the way at Duck Creek over there in Richardson. I had some good success there on sunfish. Also worked some bass on beds fishing over at Kroger Park, and struck out there, but did get some good questions from a couple of folks over there on Facebook. One of them was some concern concerning fishing for bass during the spawn. So we did some research on some of the, I guess, ethical or unethical things. So I think that's a topic that we'll bring up in our iFishing Fishing News or Fishing Podcast. So is it good or is it bad? Is it ethical to fish bass while they're spawning? I think that's a good one. And then while we were doing some research on answering the mail on that question, or at least concern, saw one that piqued our interest. In this case is, okay, so bass fishermen, tournament happens, and they do catch and release. They release their fish in a particular area of that lake. So let's say they fish this whole entire lake, maybe a nice big reservoir, and they catch the fish, they get it weighed in, and at that weigh-in location, that's where the release fish. So I'm wondering if you move fish from all over the lake, maybe miles away or many miles away from where they release it after the tournament is done, does that mean the fish go back to their location where they were first caught? Or does the bass fishing improve where they've been released? So I'm going to go do some, maybe some Googling on that subject, and maybe bring it up on one of our iFish Fishing News podcasts, and maybe get some info, maybe some from viewers, readers, listeners who may have some insight there. Because what we're thinking is let's say you do fish a large lake, and they do release those fish at a particular park or location where the weigh-in is. I'm thinking that maybe those bass will be pretty close to that area when they release them. So maybe the bass fishing will improve. So some thinking out loud things that we'll be looking into. So do stay tuned there. Also, we've been really itching to get another underwater video, especially with the rig that we set up back over here. Let me go grab it. Okay, so this is the rig that we set up, and what happens is we can put the GoPro here, and you have a line with a release and some hooks to where when the fish come and take these, you can see the actual strike. And so we've been putting the GoPro here and get a nice good shot of them, but what we found is it's too close, it kind of gets out of focus, so if we're getting the strikes over here, that's a little bit better. And what we're going to think about doing is maybe try some different baits or lures and see if we can maybe see the reaction of the fish. And there's a particular pond that we know of that has some nice sized bass that you put a little 3-inch sunfish on here, they'll definitely get a strike on there, be it from the bass as well as some catfish. So been really itching to do this one, and what we have now is we've got it to where it excuse me, sits at at this angle, so it's floating in this direction. And that's with the GoPro, and it'll shoot right into the where the hooks are. So stay tuned for that one. Really itching to get out there and do this one. Just been sidetracked with different things, especially with that honey-do list, but I think I'm caught up with the honey-do list, so guess what? Might be going out there with this baby. I got a little weight here to keep it in up and down vertical position. GoPro shoots over here and get that action shot, and so should be good. Alrighty, and some of the other things that we've been focusing on is that podcast. What we're finding is we get a lot of questions coming in, and we'll do 2 different versions of a podcast, a video version as well as an audio version, and we'll post the video version on YouTube, the audio version on our ifishnews.com podcast site. And what we're seeing is one, a lot of folks aren't able to watch a video, especially while they're commuting, so they go to the podcast and they can just listen in. So what we need to work on, though, is knowing that our audience may be just listening versus watching a video, so we need to be able to give some more verbal detail so that folks that are listening on the podcast can understand what we're talking about. So we've got to get away from, oh, here, look at this, and go to, here is what I'm presenting, etc. So we'll work on that. Other than that, that's pretty much all the updates we have for this round. Hope to be getting out there and maybe doing some more of that commute fishing, so on the way to work or maybe on the way back from work, be able to catch a fish or two and get that on video, and then maybe on the weekends do that kayak fishing that we definitely like during this time of year. Kind of weird right now with the temperatures kind of being lower than we're used to this time of year in May, and then with the rains and whatnot kind of throwing us a curve there, being able to do things. And then of course, well, AC went out, get that knocked out, gotta get that taken care of, and then we'll be back good to go out there fishing. All right, all for now. Till next time, we'll catch y'all later. Good luck and good fishing.